Joining us now on the Angus Report with our coverage from Fort Worth is Dr. Lowell Catlett. He was our keynote speaker for the International Genomic Symposium. Dr. Catlett, thanks for joining us.
Kelly, I appreciate the opportunity to be with you.
So Lowell, you gave a very inspiring talk on Saturday morning. What was the key messages you wanted our members to take away from that?
Well, first and foremost, I think the folks in the Angus business have been leaders in adopting technology and understanding they can carve a path out in the world. I call it branding the beef, and they've done that. They've been very excellent leaders in the process of doing that. And the world's moving faster, and technology's moving faster, and my message was basically, you've been a leader before, and you're going to adapt and change to these technologies just like you've done in the past, no matter how fast they're coming, and there's some pretty weird ones out there.
Where do you see technology having the most influence in beef production in general?
I think the biggest one is going to be in the broader area that we will call robotics in the simple, and I didn't even talk about drones and some of the robotic handling systems that we have, but we're getting to the point that we really can now get down to handling individual animals as animals in all their needs, not just in the genetics and getting the right things that we want from a calf, but also in their feed and understanding that each one's going to be a little bit different, and we're developing those technologies now to do that. And we've never had that before, and that's going to take a ramping up with a whole, and people's attitude. Are you willing to do that? Are you willing to admit every cow's different? Because they are, and now we got the technology to really prove that and do it, and I think that's marvelous.
So another big part of our International Genomics Symposium was the release of our Angus GS test. Obviously, this is a new front for Angus Genetics and the American Angus Association and its members. Where do you think and where do you see the potential that lies ahead for the American Angus Association with that type of technology being incorporated?
Well, when we're getting at that level of technology, it's like the general level of technology about sensors and tech. And 5 years ago, a sensor to measure just one chemical was about $5. Today, it's less than a penny, and it'll do 20. So the ability now to cram genetics, billions of them on one, little chip, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. Then the people that will adapt that technology means they move genetics and the whole field just light years ahead. And if you don't accept that technology, then you're going to be light years behind.
Yeah.
And that's what I found exciting today is they're putting that technology on chips, and they're making it available, and they're using the power of the computer and sensing technologies to get to that where I say every cow's a little bit different, and that blows everybody's doors off.
And certainly when we talk about genetic change, obviously that technology will be a really great tool for our members. So speaking of our members, just while you've been here at the convention, I know you've been here before, what do you find exciting or interesting about interacting with our membership or these types of members who are really driven in the agricultural industry?
The thing I've always loved the most is they are, over the years, I've visited with them, we can be in down markets or up markets, we can be where we've been through a recession or going into one or whatever else. And the overall mood of all of them has always constantly been optimistic and positive.
Yeah.
They're just a positive group of people. That's why I say they've just led in ways that is unique in agriculture. And they're just positive, upbeat, willing to adapt and change more so than any group of people I know. And I just love to be around them.
Well, certainly your talk this morning energized our folks, and we want to thank you for being here and joining me on the Angus Report and just being a part of our convention.
The honor is all mine, Kelly. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
I'm here with Stuart Bach, Vice President of Agrigenomics at Neogen GeneSeq Operations, and we're going to take a closer look at the innovation developed between their company and Angus Genetics Incorporated.
Great. Well, Clint, it's a distinct pleasure to be here, and we're very excited to be a part of what is becoming, the event of the cattle industry calendar. Earlier this year, in conjunction with Angus Genetics and the American Angus Association, we were able to, and proud and pleased to launch the availability of a new genomic chip, a new genomic profiler for the Angus Association. Angus GS will be a 50,000 SNP chip specific for the Angus breed that will feed into the genetic evaluation for the Angus members.
Well, we are grateful for our partnership with Neogen GeneSeq. Tell us a little bit more about how this innovation was possible through this partnership.
So it's a great question. You know, the right people have to come together with, with the right focus. And one of the things that occurred was over the past 10 years, there's been a steady improvement in the quality of the technology to create genomic profilers. So that's the first piece of it. The second piece of it is, over the past 10 years, we've genotyped hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of Angus animals. And using that information, we've been able to go through and identify the genetic markers throughout the genome that are most impactful for this breed. And that's really very important. So the availability of the new technology, the history that we have, and the continued decline in costs that make this ever more cost efficient meant that the time was right for us to enter into a partnership with AGI and create a tool that would have lasting value for the Angus breed. So the three things, a new genetic evaluation, an upgraded chip, and a renewed dedication to collection of phenotypes means all the tools are in place for the Angus breed to really begin to step out ahead of competition and drive the selection for the cattle that we need for the future.
So one thing that we've talked about, of course, is Angus producers staying on top of the field, being on the cutting edge of technology. So Angus producers should use this product to stay on top of the field, right?
If you'd be foolish not to. Number one is it's very cost-effective product. Number two is it is the most informative tool for the breed, right? Mm-hmm. If you're going to invest money into genomic profiling so that you can enhance genetic selection, well, wouldn't it make sense to use the best product and the one that's built for me? And that is really exactly where we're at. Dr. Miller talked about that this morning. There are several aspects of the content of that serve not only the needs of Angus breeders today, but there's content in there that as Angus breeders collect phenotypes, we will be able to go back and evaluate those genetic markers for difficult to measure traits like tenderness, like altitude disease, like fescue tolerance, like fertility. I mean, as Dr. Miller said, we were like kids in a candy store. I mean, we had a blank slate and we said, let's design the perfect product for this breed from the ground up. And we've got X amount of real estate, a certain number of SNPs that we can use. And so we did everything in our power to try to make sure that tool is at the absolute forefront of the technology for the breed.